evil in human nature.
She wouldn't even promise now.
Just like I would tell you, if you're going to do something, do it well. And leave something witchy. Leave a sign to let the world know that you were there.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Okay.
I don't even know how to start this.
Let me tell the story about when I got high the other day.
Is that why? Okay, you can lead with that, and then we're
Okay,
just gonna just jump into it.
Okay, so I was high.
Okay.
I was high, and I had to upload the podcast, the first episode. And my idea was I would upload it at night and leave it uploading, and then the next day I would just click submit, and it would be done,
Yay.
right? Problem is, I was so high that I kept spelling like pop beans, beans pod, potato beans.
Don't kill me.
And then I uploaded the wrong file.
You are,
Oh,
you
no.
know, we're just a pair of professional somebodies.
Yes. Anyway, welcome to Undercover Podcast.
Welcome back.
I'm Paula.
I'm Ali.
Hello, Ali.
Hello, Paula.
It's been so long.
It's been such a long week. I think that's what it is.
I know.
It's been way too long.
Yeah.
Didn't you feel like it just
Way
went
too
by
long.
just slowly?
Yeah, and the heat here has been horrible.
Yeah, I can. That here has been like.
I can't
I
relate.
can't relate. Today was cold though. It was raining all day, but it was good. We don't. It was
Oh,
snowing
it's so
somewhere
cool.
else. Thank
It's
God
been
we didn't
so
get that
hot.
in the city.
Oh. But here it's been so hot. Like, for one day it was cold and it was raining, and then the next day it was like, boom, sun everywhere.
Just like in your face.
In my
In your-
face. Get out of my face. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a urban legend that turned out to be true. And it's kind of creepy.
It's kind of
It's kinda
creepy.
sad, too,
It's
but it's
actually
more creepy.
yeah. It's sad for all the families that were involved. And so today we're gonna talk about Cropsey, which it's
Woo!
something that I did not find out until last year. And so once we started doing this, that was one of the first things in my mind to do because it's just so creepy. I feel like we all had a Cropsey legend similar to it everywhere in the world. At least we had. Called, what was it, El Viejo del Saco? Do you remember that?
I didn't. I heard about that when I was like 15, so I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I was scared with this boogeyman type guy that would go around the woods in our town, and he would kidnap and kill children, which basically that's what the legend of Cropsey is. So Cropsey,
Fun.
yeah, it's the legend that comes from Staten Island in New York. Practically surrounds the Willowbrook State School woods around it. Yeah.
So the Willowbrook State School was a institution for children with intellectual disabilities. It was opened from 1947 to 1987. It was designed for 4,000 people, but by 1965 it had a population of 6,000. So it was very sad, the conditions they were living in. And there was a special by Geraldo Rivera that showed the conditions inside, and it was
horrible.
It's devastating.
I left that part for you to look up into because I just couldn't. This is not a good time for me to have looked at this, and it was terrifying to know that there were children being treated that way. And it's just like the footage is just so gruesome and it's just horrible.
Yeah, and the fact that they went inside and it's everything is like very black and white, and they go inside and there's like it's all dark
And the spotlight.
and the only light is the camera. Yeah. and there's children like rocking on the floor or like going to the bathroom on the floor and vomiting.
Like, I
and
don't understand.
They're just rocking back and forth.
These children just like on the floor with like half their gowns on, and then there's like a scene of like a kid being like, he was having like food shoved into his face, and just like, come on, like, you can do better than that. God. It's just, it was horrible.
People would literally go there and dump their children there.
Any kids with learning disabilities, and it's sad because
there was everything.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, this it did close in 1987, but this was like 10 years after this expose, because I think in 1972 it was when the expose happened. This like new and up and coming reporter did this thing, and then like they put it on the news, and it was like all over the place. But still, they took 10 years to close this place down. It's just. And what's sad is that the authorities ended up closing it down, and the people that used to live there, that used to be, I guess, how do you call that? Like, I guess, admitted into this like hospital or this school, and people that work there kept coming back because they were so confused and lost that they just kept coming back to this place, or they would come back to the grounds and like they would live around in the area in the woods. And that's actually how the legend of Cropsey, well, it's not how it started, but it is how it was kind of like it was born. So Cropsey is supposed to be like this madman that lives in the woods around the area, and it lurks in the shadows and kidnaps kids and kills them. It was all believed to be a legend until Jennifer, her name is Jennifer Schwager, I don't know how to spell that correctly. She was a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome, and she disappeared in 1987. She disappeared right in the woods. They don't explain what was happening, what was she doing when she disappeared, but that's when they started looking into it, and they said the main suspect on this, his name was Andre Rand. And he was actually an orderly at the Willowbrook State School, and he used to work there.
He was a janitor, right?
He was, yeah. So they say that he was sort of like a maintenance man or like an orderly, and then they say later on because there's a documentary of this on Netflix. It's called Cropsey, of course. They say later that he was an occupational therapist.
Oh, really?
They don't really go into detail what he used to do there. So an orderly is kind of like a nurse. So I figured, I guess he was like a nurse there or something like that.
Man, I've only read that he was a janitor or a maintenance man, but not like something like an orderly.
So he was a maintenance man for a building where another child disappeared. But that's another story. That's for later on in the story.
Oh,
anyways, okay. Yeah, that's, So maybe that's what it is. Okay, anyways. Sorry, I'm reading out my notes here. Basically, after Jennifer disappeared, there was a whole search party for her on Staten Island, and it was huge. Like, so many people showed up. It happened right in the middle of the summer, so a lot of people was like literally just give up their summers just to look for her. And there was a search party created called the Friends of Jennifer, and it was actually led by Donna Cutagno. I don't know how to spell these names. By the way, I just need to say their accents are just everything. I love Staten Island accents.
I do too.
They're like,
they're the best,
aren't they?
Yeah. They're fun. They're fun accents.
They are fun accents, and I just listen to them. I'm like, wow, you sound like the movie. You sound like people in the movies. That sounds like so, but whatever. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So she was the one that organized searches. She found while they were looking in the woods for Jennifer, actually they found a lot of people living there. Like, they found makeshift beds and, people like racers and stuff. Like, they found stuff that actually people living there. And then they found out that there was mostly people that work there or that they used to live in this place. So Andrew Rand, he was the lead suspect on this investigation. And they couldn't find physical at first. They never actually found physical evidence of him kidnapping her, but there were witnesses, eyewitnesses of seeing her walking around with a green bike, and then with this middle-aged man with her right on the day that she disappeared. And then these two, who was actually the two cops who did all of the interrogations. And then witnesses saw him getting on a green bike with a basket just like she had after she had disappeared, just like around town. So he was questioned, and then because of lack of evidence, he was released. And then he was picked up later on at the Church of God Within. He was staying at a house of a minister called, his name was Reverend Charles Musket Sr. And he's not a minister anymore, but at the time he housed Rand right before they arrested him. He was picked up and arrested, like on his final interrogation, and then after that he was arrested. That's when those pictures of him, like, just, that's all, he's all messed up and like drooling, and he's like not in his mind at all.
Yeah, that picture's kind of sad. It's kind of creepy in a way, because they just caught him and he's drooling, and it's like, you don't know if it's because he's like mentally ill.
Right.
I don't know. It's a weird picture for me.
You know what? Before I looked into it further, when I saw those pictures, I would just read about Cropsey. Like, I saw the documentary and everything, but I really thought he was faking it for some reason. It just reminded me of, you remember the guy, maybe we'll do an episode on him someday, but the guy who he dressed up as a Joker and he shot a bunch of people at a movie theater in Colorado like years ago. So I remember him, he tried to play insanity, and this guy was not, well, he was insane because of what he did, but he knew what he was doing. And he tried to play like insanity, like he tried to look like he was basically like that, like Andre Rand was coming out of that courthouse or whatever.
Right.
Or like police station, I think. He tried to play it like that. So when I saw those pictures, I was like, what if he's faking it just for people to be like, no, this guy, like, instead of taking him to jail, let's commit him to an asylum because he's crazy. But then, so these two cops who were doing all of the interrogations, on the last interrogation, before they finally arrested him for real, for kidnapping, they rented a hotel room as like a last resort of him like telling them, because they thought maybe if they got him into like a vulnerable place, I'm sorry,
Vulnerable.
vulnerable. Sorry. Okay. If they got him into like this place where he might confess that he did it.
Like in a more comfortable place where he
comfortable place where, yeah. So right before they, I guess I said, arrested him, this minister was housing him. And a lot of people was like around the neighbors, they were like, how are you housing this kidnapper? He's a murderer. He's a child. Like they just called him all the names in the book. And he couldn't say that the police asked him, because he was close to him. Like he was a minister, he was a reverend, whatever. So he was there for him. I guess they knew each other from before, and then it was one of the people that Andre trusted. And so nobody knew that the police asked him to house him for a little bit, like to have him in his house for a little bit while the investigation was ongoing. And so they bugged they bugged his entire house.
Oh.
Just to find evidence on Andre Rand.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that part.
And so this poor guy and his family got so much bad attention in the press for absolutely the wrong reasons, because he couldn't tell anybody what he was actually doing.
Whoa.
Isn't that, and yeah, so it's pretty messed up. What these two detectives did, they rented a hotel room, they took him to the hotel room, and they were like just talking to him like, hey, I remember you used to work there. Do you remember? And at one point they brought up the expose back in 1972. So all of this is happening it happened between 1987 and 1988. So this is years later, of course, like many years later after the expose. And he's like, have you ever seen the tapes? And he goes, no, I've never seen the tapes. He's like, well, we have a copy of it. Would you like to see them? And he's like, yeah, sure, that would be, I would like to do that, to see those tapes. And as soon as the tapes started and they started showing everything, how the kids were, how they were being treated, how they were being like, just horrible conditions, he literally, like, they noticed that his eyes literally rolled back. This guy broke down in tears first. His eyes rolled back at one point and he started rocking and just drooling.
That's so sad.
Back and forth. This guy was in such shock from these tapes that that's the thing. Like, the people that worked there couldn't do much because of the conditions that these kids, like, they were just overflowing with kids and people, not just kids. There were also adults there. And so the people that worked there suffered along with these poor people. And so it was a big thing for him to remember all the things that he went through along with these kids. That's when they noticed, and they were like, yeah, this guy is messed up. And so this guy was in shock for like 2 days. He was like that for 2 days. And so the very next day after that, that's when they took him out of that police station. When they finally arrested him for real, they were like, you notice, like, they were throwing him into their car. This guy, like, he wasn't moving on his own. Like, they had to, like, set him up on the back seat. He was, like, drooling all over the place. He was barely walking. Like, it was just so sad to look at.
Of him coming out with the cops and he's drooling and stuff, that was after they showed him the tapes.
That was the day after, yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was like that for a few days. That's what they were saying. And so as soon as they saw that, because people didn't know exactly what happened, of course, because that happened behind private doors. And in a private interrogation, people, as soon as they saw that was like, okay, that man is not right. He's definitely the killer. Like, he definitely did it. Like, he's not in his right mind. That man is sick and he needs to be put in jail, basically. So this group that was led by Donna, they kept looking into the woods. So they were looking at all the areas. They had a huge search party. And then they noticed that one of the area in the woods was, like, very muddy. And it looked like the mud had been moved around. And so the guy that found that was like, okay, here, I need to show you this. And then so they all went and they started digging. And that's when they found the body of Jennifer, because she was still missing. So he was arrested for kidnapping, but now they found her dead.
So now he committed.
So now he was being charged.
Yeah, he was being charged for homicide.
Homicide, yeah, for her murder, right?
Murder, yeah, murder.
Yeah, and actually, that was where they found her. It was very close. It was, they said, 150 yards from his campsite, like where he was camping at.
Wow.
And so it was like right there. And of course, they're like, all of the dots aligned. And so he was convicted in 1988. But because of lack of evidence of him ever actually murdering her, they had to drop the murder charges.
Because they didn't find the murder weapon, right?
Exactly. And so, but he was convicted for kidnapping in 1988, and then he had chance of parole he was up for parole in 2008.
That was recent. Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That was pretty recent, yeah. So what happened is that they started looking into him in a bunch of other cases of missing children around Staten Island ever since he was working at this mental. So from like all the way back from like 66. They found over 30 cases. Literally, they found over 30 cases, but they focused on 4 of them because they were all very similar. So the first one was Alice Pereira. She went missing on 1972. Tahese Jackson, she went missing on 1982, and she actually had learning disabilities. Holly Ann Hughes on 1981, and then Henry Gafforio on 1984. And he was a 22-year-old kid who had the IQ of a 15-year-old. So he also had learning disabilities. And I believe the other 2 girls did as well.
Yeah, that's what I was reading as well, that he would target. It's not clear if it was on purpose or it's because maybe they were like him, but he would target children with disabilities, with learning disabilities.
Exactly. Yeah, and with any mental disabilities, really. And so the only case that they actually were able to bring up to trial was Holly Ann Hughes, who their family really, really, I think her brother actually, he was about 15 when she went missing, and he actually became an attorney. Oh. Yeah, when he grew up, and he actually had a huge part on them, like, reopening the case and bringing him to trial.
Oh, wow.
When all this happened. Yeah, he had a huge part in it. And there's actually an interview right outside of the, when he went to trial Andre Rand went to trial for Holly Ann Hughes' disappearance. They were interviewing the brothers outside, like the family outside. The mom, like, it's so sad to look at the mom. They were interviewing the family outside, and one of the brothers was like, finally there's just a quote that it broke my heart when he said it. It was like, finally they're treating her like a person and not like a lost wallet.
Oh no.
And that was so sad to hear. And like the mom, it was just, she's probably still heartbroken until this day.
Oh no.
Because it was so sad to watch her like just talk about everything. And it was like, it was just so sad. Like I can imagine being a mother and like your child going missing like that.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad.
And so all of these kids, they started looking into them, and so many eyewitnesses. But that's the thing, like they couldn't really convict him for more stuff. There was lack of physical evidence. There was no physical evidence, just like eyewitnesses.
Right.
But so many people came forward saying that, I saw Henry Gaforio with Andre Rand at a diner on the night that he disappeared. And then, yes, I do remember Holly Ann Hughes going, being on the same street, because I think actually her family lived on the apartment below Andre Rand's aunt.
Okay.
And the day that she disappeared, she was playing out on the street and he was visiting.
It was just
so like there's too many little coincidences. And so, for example, Tahese Jackson, she was staying at a shelter hotel, I think, with her family, and one of her older brothers remembers her like moving, like going somewhere else while she was talking to like this man who was supposedly to be Andre Rand, and that was the same day that she disappeared. So like there's like too like many little coincidences that there's no physical evidence, because basically once the bodies are found, that's the evidence of him killing them. But there's just too many little coincidences that say it had to have been him. How is it that every single child disappeared while you were around somewhere? Right?
Yeah, but, I was reading right now. It says that Andre Rand will be eligible for parole in 2037.
And to be honest with you, well, who knows? But maybe they won't give it to him.
They like probably won't. He's gonna be pretty old. He was born in 1944, so...
Yeah, he's gonna be like 90 something probably.
Yeah, that's sad.
What do you call the one that it's defending the...
Defense attorney.
Defense attorney? Like, it's defending the person being charged. Defense attorney? Okay. They fully believe him innocent. Like, they fully believe that he... Well, of course, they were representing him. Why wouldn't they? But until this day, like, they're in their heart, like, he is an innocent man. He didn't do anything at all.
Wow. Did he plead insanity?
I'm actually not quite sure. There's not a lot of... Well, I didn't read a lot of stuff on the court case itself. And, like, if he pled guilty or not guilty, because he could have pled not guilty, and then, what's it called? The jury still says, well, we think he's guilty. And then they still put him in jail, right? So I honestly don't know, but he, until this day, he still thinks that, he still says he's innocent. And actually the people that did the documentary, I think Josh and Barbara are their names, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I know, because he interchanged a lot of letters, because they were trying to get in contact with him the entire time that they were filming this, and like they were researching this. So first, like, he would play them around, and even they were able to get in contact with his sister to see how he's, like, their childhood was. And she was like, there is no reason for him to have, because, like, we weren't abused children. Like, she was like, yeah, my mom had, like, mental problems here and there. She was on a mental institution at one point, but she was a good mom. Like, we were all, like, both parents were always there. And so
there's no motive behind the crime.
Exactly. And so
that's hard.
It is really hard. So, like, I'm not saying, I do believe he did it, that he was involved. I don't think he did it all by himself, because I do believe there was more than one person. And honestly, I do think that it was a group of people doing this. It wasn't just him.
That reminds me of a case I saw where there was a kid who was mentally ill, and he thought these girls were very pretty, and the girls were, like, very cruel to him, and they would make him do stuff. So maybe, in my mind, this is a theory, maybe there was another person involved, or a group of people, and maybe they got him to do it, and he didn't know any better. Something like that.
But see then, because it could have been sort of like a Charles Manson sort of thing as well, because apparently there was at one point he was living, so this campsite, apparently he had led a bunch of people to go with him and live with him, and he was kind of sort of like their leader. So actually there is a part on the documentary where one of the detectives says it's funny because he was like a white trash Jim Jones.
Oh, really?
And it was such a funny thing to know. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, maybe he didn't kill them. Maybe. See how Charles Manson, he didn't kill anybody himself. Mm-hmm. He sent other people to do it.
Yeah.
And if this guy was an orderly, like Charles Manson had the power and over people to sane people. Well, sane, quote unquote, I'm just saying sane because
they were normal people who got under his influence.
Exactly, mm-hmm. Exactly. And so what makes you think that a sane person like that, okay, he was an orderly at this place, mm-hmm. Right? He was a nurse or whatever the heck it was. He was. So he was that. And then these people, after this place got shut down, they kept coming back. And so he was, if he was there living with them, he was also just as confused. He probably wasn't fully mentally insane, but he was somebody who they recognized.
Okay, I know where you're going.
So it's easier for him to lead these people onto, well, would you help me with this? Or like a homeless person or like a drug addict or something like, oh, I need to do this in exchange of this. Or like, I need to do this and I will keep my mouth shut on something else. You know what I mean? And so it's possible that it's one of my theories. It's just a wild theory that I have. Yeah. This is nowhere in the internet. Maybe somewhere figured it out like that too, but that's what I think happened.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get it. Well, it's the same reason. Like there's no motive, there's no murder weapon. That's why he's only convicted of kidnapping. So
exactly.
Like they tried to charge him on murder, but they couldn't find anything. So man, who knows? That's kind of sad and kind of creepy and kind of weird all at the same time.
It is so sad, and it's just like there's a lot of gaps in the story, I think.
Yeah.
It's just because of the whole just eyewitnesses thing. I think that's what it is. Because if they had more physical evidence, like, well, actually, you know what's so funny is that for the disappearance of Holly and Hughes in 1981, he was a suspect as well, and he got interrogated, and then he got let go for lack of evidence.
Really?
And then in 1987, he was also around the area, and then he also got suspected for Jennifer's disappearance.
That's weird.
And Hank Afario, right? He was in the same neighborhood with Holly and Hughes. They were neighbors. And actually, when they were reporting the Holly and Hughes disappearance, he was literally behind one of the reporters.
Oh my God. With
a bunch of people.
Oh my God.
I am telling you, like, there's just too many, like, little things that are, like, it had to be him. But in the eyes of the law, they can't really do anything because there's no physical evidence. All they can do is just... I mean, I'm surprised they were able to convict him for kidnapping.
Yeah.
So I do think it had to have been something like, it was more than one person. And Jennifer's disappearance, when they found her body, it looked like she had been moved from somewhere else. And so there's just like too many things. Like, it's just like, it's a crazy case. And it's just crazy to think that just a little urban legend, like there's a madman who lives in the woods who kidnaps and kills children, literally just becomes a reality.
Yeah.
Out of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the part that's kind of the creepiest. Because it's like, okay, we're talking about like a local boogeyman, but hello, yeah. The boogeyman is real all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Oh, it's creepy.
It's like that. It's like saying the whole Slenderman thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like... that's for another episode as well. Like, that's a whole other...
We were talking about that today.
I know. Like, we have to do it. Because it's like the Slenderman thing. Yeah, it's a creepy past that just showed up out of nowhere, an urban legend. But then there's, like, more than one case, different parts of the United States and of that country, where kids have literally killed other kids because of, oh, Slenderman told me to. And it's just like, what? Like...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, it's pretty weird. And I was thinking about what you said, that part where maybe he was like a leader of a group. You know, Andre Rand was probably like a leader of a group. In that time around that place, there was a bit of satanic panic. And I heard that some people thought maybe he was sacrificing his children to Satan.
Wow.
Yeah, I read that.
What?
Yeah, they thought maybe he was like kidnapping children, killing them, and then sacrificing them to Satan. I mean, that's pretty out there, but it's what people would say.
It is pretty out there. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, what if he was like selling these kids to sacrifice them to other people?
Maybe he was like a hitman.
Because if you think about it, he was a drifter. Like, he did live in the woods. Like, I think he worked at a burger joint at one point, and it's just all very random. Like, it's just the whole story around it, like the whole circumstances, I think that's what it is, are very random, except for the fact that all of the kids that were missing and got killed. So the only circumstances that weren't random, it was the fact that all these kids that got kidnapped and murdered, I mean, these kids were never found, actually. The 4 cases that they looked at after Jennifer's, they were never found. The bodies were never found. And that's the saddest part. I mean, in the hopes of finding them, but it's been so long now.
Sure. There's no closure.
That it's like, exactly. That's what it is. And it's just so sad for the families. So all these kids had some sort of mental disability or learning disability that they looked at it like, well, he was getting rid of these kids because he watched this closely, and so he thought these were kids who nobody wanted. They weren't kids who were wanted, and so he was basically ridding them from their pain and from other people's pains of having to deal with
sad,
them.
Man.
And if that was the case, I feel sad. Well, anything is sad, or just kids going missing in general. But it's just like, for him to have that mentality, maybe he was the one who maybe should have been admitted. It's just...
That's fucked up, man.
That's just very messed up.
Fucked up. Man, that's a crazy case. I remember watching that documentary and being freaked out about it, but I don't remember that much. I only read like certain things. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. That's damn crazy.
It is crazy. Oh, I was gonna say, one thing that I forgot to mention. Remember that you said like the janitor thing at the end? So, I mean, at the end, we're already done. But at the beginning, so he was actually a maintenance man on the building where Alice Pereira lived in 1972. One of the first kid that they looked at, I mean, one of the very earlier cases before Holly and Hughes and Jennifer disappeared. She went missing in 1972, and he was actually a maintenance man on that building.
Oh, no.
Where she lived with her mom. But that was never looked at because she was said to have been seen in Puerto Rico alive and well with her dad or something like that.
Really?
And so they never looked at it.
Oh, man. Man, I'm pretty sure there's one more person who knows like the complete story.
Something. Yeah.
It's between Andre Rand and somebody else. That's probably it.
Yeah. And actually the the minister who had him in his house said, I know that he killed her because he told me he did. He confessed to him that he killed her. But this is my thing. Your house was bugged with microphones. The phones were tapped. The police was rounding your house for 4 weeks while you had him there. And they weren't able to know that he confessed to you. That I'm not saying that he's lying.
No, he's probably not lying, but
isn't it weird that, you know what I mean?
It's weird that in those 4 weeks, nothing was recorded of him saying anything, like a confession or something.
Exactly. And so, what if there was? And just for some odd reasons, the police just withheld that and was like, no, it's fine, like, we're just gonna go with the kidnapping case. Like, I really don't know. Like, it's just like a very why case. Just everything after they give you the information, it's like, but why? Why wasn't done like this? Why did this person say this? Why didn't they do this? It's just like very, I don't know. It's very, I don't know.
Man, I really hope that it's one of those cases that gets solved because, or not solved, but like there's more info coming out because that's weird.
It's pretty recent too. I feel like from the 80s up to where we are now, I'm sure there's gotta be somebody out there still looking for kids that were linked to maybe him.
Oh, probably.
And something will show up eventually, and then we're gonna
see what happens.
Have a whole new case to look at.
There's people that still go to the Willowbrook State School because it's still there.
Oh, for sure.
That's so creepy. I would go. I would go.
I would totally go, yeah.
Man,
Just to
that's
check.
crazy.
And that's the story of Cropsey. Urban legend.
There it is.
Come reality.
Oh, that's creepy.
I know.
I don't even know what to say now. I'm like, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, what is
should we
happening?
just end it now? We should just end it now.
Yeah. No, we want to know what other people think. Maybe they know something that we don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if there's people, I really doubt that we have people from New York listening. But does anybody remember like this in the news when they were kids? Because I know we don't remember because we weren't born yet.
Yeah. Is there like anything in Staten Island? Like, do people still talk about it?
Yeah, right? Like, is Cropsey still a legend there? Or like, did they put that to rest?
Man, so many questions.
So many questions.
I love this. It's so weird. And it's kind of like,
I know.
it gives me a little bit of goosebumps. I'm just like thinking about it. Man.
It does, right?
So weird. I don't know how to end this now.
Aww.
Let's just take a moment to think about this.
Good note.
Let's solve the case. Let's solve the case.
Let's solve the case. Okay. It's like with our John Benet Ramsey. It's like, I cannot go out tonight. I am this close to solving the John Benet Ramsey murder.
Or that picture of the girl who's on her cell phone, and the guy's like, "Oh my gosh, she's probably cheating on me," and the girl's like, "I know who killed John Benet Ramsey."
Yes, that is me.
That's me. Like, me and my boyfriend. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh my god, I think I know who killed John Benet Ramsey."
You know what? The John Benet Ramsey, that whole story, it never leaves my mind. Like, it randomly pops into my mind, and I'm like, well, what if this is what happened? And then I just forget about it. And then another one, what if this happened?
All I know is it was totally Burke.
You think so?
I think it was Burke Ramsey, honestly. I think it was the brother.
I have two theories. I think it was either the brother by mistake, and the mom did it to cover up. She just thought of something like, because she was in such shock that she just created this whole story around it.
I think the exact same thing.
Yeah, or it was the dad in the same circumstances, basically. And the kid knows. But whatever happened, I know that the kid knows exactly what happened. You know what? I really hope it's solved. Oh, sorry. I just there was a weird light on my camera, and that was.
It's Cropsey.
Maybe it was. It's Cropsey. It's coming from me. With this hook for hand and axe in the other. I don't fucking know. Okay, sorry.
What? What?
So
it's late.
They
it's
were
late.
saying it's very late. And so yeah, no, it's just like I really hope that whatever it is, that the family, whoever knows anything for real, yeah, it's either I think the brother knows something.
Yeah. Oh,
he clearly knows what happened.
He definitely knows something.
Whether it was him by accident, or it was the dad probably by accident, or it was the mom by accident, I don't fucking know. Because I really doubt that they would kill somebody. Well, who knows? There's a lot of monsters, hidden monsters in this world.
And on the note that there's monsters in this world, we will end this
right now.
Yeah.
So think about that, you guys. Check under your beds, inside your closets.
Check under the bed. Under the bed is always kind of creepy.
Yeah. Check next to you in your bed.
You know what the worst part is? I'm going to go to bed now because it's 1 a.m. and I'm going to totally be thinking about that, and I'm going to be able to I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Check under your bed.
Yeah.
There's a monster down there.
Yeah, I'll just leave my dog. I'll just leave my dog under the bed.
What if you like look under your bed and then you see yourself?
Don't do
going
that.
Okay.
That's so creepy. Why would I see myself? I don't want to see myself. I'm good with my mirror.
And just like, there's somebody on your bed. There's somebody on our bed. Hide. Have you, like that story of like, that, you know, that creepypasta of the little kid hearing her mom calling her or calling him down the stairs.
Oh God.
And so they're going.
That. I hate that.
And then the mom pulls him from the closet and it's like, shh, I heard that too.
Oh my God, no. I hate that story.
Oh, can I tell you another one? I'm just torturing you right now. So, what about the little kid who the dad comes into the room and he's like, Dad, can you check for monsters under my bed? And then he looks under the bed and then there's the little kid down there and he's like, Dad, there's somebody on my bed.
Oh my God, what?
And on that note, let's go to bed. Good night.
Oh my god, I hate you.
I love you.
I'm gonna have to like, I don't know. I don't know what I do in this situation. I just cry.
Just shove a bunch of things under your bed. Just make sure no monsters come out of there.
Oh, that's so creepy. Oh my god. And on that note,
let us know what you thought, you guys, what you think, what are your theories, and yeah.
Follow us
Have a good
on
night.
Undercover Coven on Twitter, and same on Instagram, and send us any emails, suggestions, comments, whatever you want. Anything nice.
We're here for you.
On Undercover
We will
Coven.
respond.
Yeah, undercovercoven@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can follow us at Instagram at undercovercoven.
Yeah.
And also, we are very active and we will respond. And we'll follow you, give you a follow back, and we'll respond to your messages. If there's anything that you would like us to hear to talk about, we will definitely take it into consideration. Because I feel like we struggle with that a lot to like figure out what to talk about. Wow, my English at this time of night is just bad.
Yeah, and
So, yeah.
please rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah.
We would appreciate it. And that's all from us.
Yeah, have a great night.
Good night. Don't let Cropsey get you.
Or the monster under your bed. Cropsey's under your bed. Okay, good night. Bye.
Bye.